Imagine being told by your teacher that you are too stupid to learn anything. Imagine failing hundreds, even thousands of times. Most people would quit. Most people would give up on their dreams forever. But one man refused to stop. And because of that determination, he changed the modern world forever. This is the incredible story of Thomas Edison, the boy who struggled in school, faced rejection after rejection, and failed more times than most people could survive, yet became one of the greatest inventors in human history. And by the end of this story, you may never look at failure the same way again. Thomas Alva Edison was born on February 11, 1847, in a small town called Milan, Ohio, in the United States. He was the youngest of 7 children. As a child, Thomas was very curious. He constantly asked questions about everything around him. Why do birds fly? How does fire work? Why does sound travel? But unlike other children, Thomas struggled to focus in school. His teachers became frustrated with him. He often daydreamed and asked too many questions. One day, a teacher reportedly called him addled, which meant slow or mentally weak. That moment deeply hurt young Thomas. After only a few months in school, his mother made an important decision. She removed him from school and began teaching him at home herself. That single decision changed history forever. His mother believed in him when nobody else did. And sometimes, all it takes is one person who believes in you. Thomas loved reading books, especially science books. He spent hours studying chemistry, physics, and mechanics. But reading was not enough for him. He wanted to experiment. He wanted to see things with his own eyes. So he created a small laboratory in his family's basement. He performed experiments using bottles, chemicals, wires, and tools. Sometimes things exploded. Sometimes experiments failed terribly. But Thomas loved every moment of it. Even as a young boy, he learned an important lesson. Failure was not something to fear. Failure was part of learning. At age 12, Thomas started working on trains to help support his family. He sold newspapers, snacks, and candy to passengers traveling between cities. But even while working, his curiosity never stopped. He turned part of a train car into a tiny laboratory. Imagine that, a young teenager doing science experiments inside a moving train. Thomas also printed his own small newspaper. This made him one of the first people ever to publish a newspaper on a train. Even at a young age, he showed signs of creativity and business intelligence. But life soon became harder. One day, Thomas suffered an accident that badly damaged his hearing. Over time, he became partially deaf. For many people, this would have destroyed their confidence. But Thomas Edison saw things differently. He later said his hearing loss actually helped him focus better because the world became quieter. Instead of complaining about his problems, he adapted to them. That mindset would later help him survive countless failures. As Thomas grew older, he became fascinated by telegraph machines. These machines allowed people to send messages across long distances using electrical signals. At the time, this technology was revolutionary. Thomas worked as a telegraph operator and traveled across America. During long nights, he studied electrical systems and continued experimentation. Eventually, he began creating improvements for telegraph technology. Some inventions worked, others failed completely. But Thomas kept learning, and slowly, people began noticing his talent. Thomas Edison dreamed bigger than most people. He didn't want to improve only one machine. He wanted to invent things that could change everyday human life. But success did not come quickly. Many experiments failed, again and again, sometimes hundreds of times, sometimes thousands. Other inventors laughed at him. Critics said he wasted time. Investors doubted him. But Thomas believed something powerful. Every failure teaches something valuable. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That attitude became the foundation of his success. Thomas Edison eventually opened a research laboratory in Menlo Park, New Jersey. People later called it the Invention Factory, because inventions were constantly being created there. Edison and his team worked day and night, sometimes sleeping only a few hours. They tested materials, built machines, destroyed prototypes, and repeated the process endlessly. Most people saw failure and stopped. Edison saw failure and continued. That difference changed the world. At that time, electric lighting was extremely difficult. Many scientists believed creating a long-lasting light bulb was impossible. But Thomas Edison refused to quit. He tested thousands of materials trying to find the perfect filament for the bulb. Cotton, wood, paper, bamboo. Again and again the bulbs failed. Some burned too quickly, some exploded, some produced weak light. But Edison continued experimenting, day after day, month after month. Most people would have quit long before. But Edison believed success was hiding behind persistence. Then finally, after thousands of failed attempts, the bulb stayed lit. The room glowed with electric light, and history changed forever. The invention of the practical light bulb transformed human civilization. For thousands of years, people depended mostly on candles and oil lamps. Now entire cities could shine with electricity. Homes became brighter. Factories became safer. Businesses stayed open longer. The world entered a new technological age, and Thomas Edison became one of the most famous inventors on Earth. But he did not stop there. Edison continued inventing throughout his life. He helped develop sound recording devices, movie cameras, electric power systems, communication technology. By the end of his career, he held over 1,000 patents. That is more than most inventors achieve in multiple lifetimes. Failure. Thousands and thousands of failures. People often believed Edison succeeded because he was naturally gifted. But Edison himself disagreed. He once said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration," meaning hard work matters far more than talent alone. Edison believed discipline, persistence, and curiosity were more powerful than intelligence by itself. And his life proved it. Even after becoming famous, Edison still faced criticism. Some people disagreed with his ideas. Competitors challenged him constantly. Business pressures became intense. But Edison never allowed fear to stop his creativity. Even during difficult moments, he continued working, learning, and inventing. Because for him, progress mattered more than comfort. In 1914, a massive fire destroyed much of Edison's laboratory and factories. Years of work disappeared in flames. Machines burned. Research was lost. The damage was enormous. Most people would have collapsed emotionally. But Edison remained calm. He reportedly told his son, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." Instead of crying about the disaster, Edison focused on rebuilding. Within weeks, he started working again. That mindset shocked everyone around him. He refused to let disaster define him. Thomas Edison became one of the most influential inventors in history. His work helped shape the modern world we live in today. Every time lights turn on, every time technology improves life, the influence of Edison's persistence can still be felt. But perhaps his greatest invention was not the light bulb. Perhaps it was his attitude toward failure. He showed the world that failure is not the. Failure is part of success. Maybe you feel behind in life. Maybe people doubt you. Maybe you have failed many times already. But remember Thomas Edison, the boy teachers called slow, the young man who faced endless failures, the inventor who failed thousands of times before succeeding. That same person changed the world forever. Success is not about never failing. Success is about refusing to quit. Sometimes the people who change history are simply the people who keep going longer than everyone else. If this story inspired you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs motivation today. And remember, one failure does not define your future. Sometimes, the next attempt changes everything.